Wow. Welcome to Target, the show for masculinity and success. And I'm your host, Atlas Altman, former military commander turned best-selling author, now bringing you a podcast that you can use. We're sharing stories from highly successful men so that you can figure it out for yourself. Welcome. This is Targeted.
All right, we're in Oklahoma City today for Targeted, and I have a very special guest. I know I always say that, but this one is special to me because this man put me in some immediately cool jobs twice. Once during a hurricane, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, and once during some really cool, unique, top-tier positions that I never thought I'd be in. So today with me, I have Rob Lyman. He's a former general officer, but he was my boss's boss at one time. And for everyone out there, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you again, Josh.
Yes.
Fun to have the chance to do something like this. And so hello, everybody, and looking forward to chatting today.
I love it. Yeah, so I got to go into this because this is the second time I've been in the show. When everyone sees me as Atlas Altman now, I use my call sign, but I remember when I was making fun of people using call signs. I think
Me too. Still do. You're grown up now. You can use your
Hey.
name. Yeah.
So it's I didn't use my call sign when I was working for you.
Yeah.
So Joshua, Atlas, Altman, all given names by different families.
Yeah. Well put. Well put.
So whenever I get referred to as Josh again, my audience should probably know that. But
Yeah.
if you're just joining, you see Atlas, that's the explanation there. So for people who don't know you, how would you describe yourself?
Retired Air Force general officer, career in cyber operations, career of meaningful work like a lot of us, much of it downrange during deployed times. Father of two beautiful girls, Ava and Brooke, my wife Nancy, who's from Oklahoma City, which is how we landed back here and had the chance to cross paths with you today here in downtown Oklahoma City. And now doing lots of different advisory work and staying in touch with our tribe.
Yeah, I see you all over social media doing some amazing board work and advisory work, some mentoring stuff. You've always been really big in mentoring. Let me just dive into that. How did you get into the mentoring aspects that you got into? Like I said, you're a board member now, you're advising a lot of people. Yeah. I know I'm here for retirement, and that man told me that you're helping him. What inspires you to be a mentor like that?
Well, I think like Colin Powell said in his book, I owe debts I can't pay, right? And it's because people grabbed me by the hand, by the scruff of my neck at times, especially as a young officer growing up, and I got great mentorship. And it paid off through the course of a career, not just in terms of a successful career, but in terms of being able to complete a mission and create my own definition of success and all of those sorts of things. And so, wanting to give folks the benefit of that as well and give back some.
I love that. Owing debts. That's a good quote. Coming from your background, you basically started cyber operations, like from the get.
Not just me personally.
No, not just you. But no, your career, it was heavily fortified by cyber operations and what it is now. I mean, you were one of the forefathers into that evolution. How do you find mentors and how do you pay back somebody whenever you're a trailblazer like?
Well, I think I was fortunate. I realized what I wanted to do in the Air Force and was able to communicate that relatively effectively as a younger officer with help from mentors, which helped me find further mentors that helped me along that path. And then at the same time gave me opportunities to do it for real and succeed or fail. And so I think I was just very fortunate in that I found the right folks early. And I had a mentor tell me very early in my Air Force career, and I always laugh about this one, that the Air Force is a lot like the mafia. Right? You've got your 4 stars and 3 stars, and everybody's got their family, right? And they have their colonels who have their lieutenant colonels and all of that. And the lesson was, you don't have to worry because you're part of the family. And you'll never know that when an assignment pops up and you get pushed into that someone in the family was helping put you in the right place at the right time, or was helping select you for the right opportunity at the right time. And I thought that was kind of cool in the moment. And then later in my career, I realized that was a very clever way to communicate how kind of the Air Force system worked.
Yeah.
And you get to be a part of that as a senior leader, which was the best part of it.
Yeah. You personally got to sit down and look at everyone's career as one of the godfathers.
Going back to that mafia term.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, you started it. I got to continue. I know there's a couple general officers we used to tell, our bosses, hey, you got to go kiss the ring because they are, and they're still around. I still see them. I'm not going to name any of them, but you know who you are.
We know who they are. Yeah.
But it's funny that you could take that and actually digest that easily.
Yeah. Well, and the great thing about those Godfather folks is they were mentors. They stayed involved and engaged, and they would talk to you about kind of what's in the realm of the possible for you, given where you were at right now, and then talk to you about also what you wanted, and try and make that true within obviously the needs of the Air Force and the construct of that, for you to build a career and build a place. The great one of the great conversations I had was about early in my career about coming up with your own definition of success, right? If you, as a young officer, you think through that, and I just want to be stationed near the beach. Can I get to Eglin, right? Or I just want to be stationed near mom, or I want to go be chief of staff of the Air Force, right? And there's room for all of those folks to be successful. But it's difficult to change tracks later on in your career if you've chosen one particular path. So just choose what's right for you, and recognize that whatever path you choose, you're selecting certain opportunities and passing on others that you may not have an opportunity to get back later on. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. For folks who don't know what Eglin is, that's an Air Force base in Florida.
On the beach.
It's a big Air Force base, and they actually have Ranger School there, so it's not all good, all the places, but it is generally good.
They do.
It's a fantastic place to be, and being close to mom's.
Have you ever toured the Ranger School down there?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But Matt Best tells the story of why he has his sleeve tattoos, because he got a skin infection, and that's why he had the tattoo. Not because he thought they were cool or nothing.
So I wasn't thinking about this earlier, but I'm going to tell a tangent story.
Oh, okay, do it.
So I was the squadron commander at Eglin, and I had come. My previous assignment was in special operations, and I had friends that were Rangers, as do you, I know. Mm-hmm. And so when I got down there, those friends talked to the Ranger Training Battalion commander and said, hey, Rob's a friend and a good guy, treat him well, show him around. And so I got invited to come tour the Ranger Training facility. And it was a great opportunity because we had folks in our squadron that supported them with some communications and frequency support and different things when they went out on their exercises. So I asked, hey, can I bring these guys with me so they can see what they're supporting? And so we went out there, had a great tour, a great briefing, and it ended with a tour of, I think they called it the Snake House, the reptile facility, where they would familiarize Ranger students with the different reptiles they'd see in the swamp. And so we went through the Snake House, and then we came out, and they had 2 alligators, and they asked, would you like to meet Vince? And sure. Vince was a 12-foot alligator, male. There was a female that was a little bit smaller. And so they, we all go inside of this, literally it's a pool.
You went inside?
Yeah. It's a pool with, grass around it and a fence, and we all are inside, and, some young Ranger sergeant runs up to the pool, and he's got a wooden baton, and he wraps the edge of the pool, and this behemoth rises from the deep and flops up on the edge of the pool with its front.
Yes.
And literally its head alone was as big as me, just wide, big, gargantuan animal. And so the sergeant looks at me and says, "Do you want to feed Vince?" And I'm like, sure, throw him a chicken, no problem, right? Yeah. And so he comes up to me and he says, okay, here's how we feed him. And he pulls out this dog biscuit looking thing. And he says, you reach down and you got to smack him on the nose. And he'll rear up and throw this biscuit in his mouth. And I'm thinking, okay, make fun of the Air Force guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we do that on purpose so that he knows that's the only time he's getting fed if they're in there mowing the grass or whatever, that's not feeding time. Leave those people alone, which makes sense. So as they're saying that, every airman that I brought with me has taken like 2 steps back to the fence. And I had that, you're the commander.
Yeah.
I got to go smack this alligator on the nose. And so sure enough, went up, smacked the alligator on the nose and fed Vince. And somebody snapped a photo of that. So I would always talk to incoming commanders, you're going to have your alligator moment when you become in charge, when you realize, hey, I'm the leader. I'm the guy. Whatever the task at hand is, maybe it's not as ridiculous as feeding an alligator, but it's going to be something that's visible and that nobody else can do but you. So you got to step up. And so it's just a clever way, and it just made me think of that. Because in that moment, I was very much like, I got to go smack this alligator on the nose. So here we go.
And you did it.
I did.
Alligators, they always bring me back to South Carolina. Did you ever go over to the Navy side and see those alligators?
I did.
Yeah, tangent story for me. You ready?
I didn't smack any alligators on the nose over there. Yeah.
Those were definitely not trained at all.
No.
I took my boys over there when we were stationed working for you.
Yeah.
I heard about, I forget the name of the alligator.
Was it Charlie?
It was Charlie, yeah. I said, hey, let's go see Charlie. And we pulled up next to the fence, and it was like, there's a whole bunch of these guys here. And one of the alligators was eating another alligator. A smaller alligator, of course. And that's when I had to tell the boys, nature's a wonderful thing.
Yes. A lot of lessons in that.
And that was right before the hurricane hit, which, speaking of mentoring, who did you talk to during that? We had hurricane season, and I used to tell me, I think you gave me the words. I used to tell everybody, all the officers, it's not if, it's when. And when happened when we were there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, we had Hurricane Matthew roll through, evacuated the base and all the families there, and then had to, once the storm rolled through, had to get the base ready for operations again as quick as possible. That was an interesting time, because as soon as that hurricane starts to roll through, there's a lot of collaboration that happens amongst kind of the senior commanders and at squadron level where you were too, across the base. So there wasn't a lot of time to seek mentorship at that point. At that point, it was you're hoping for top cover. You just got to get some things done, and numerous times, it's the little things sometimes that'll get you in trouble, and you just hoped. You got to try and do the right thing for the right reasons, communicate that to the chain of command. And I was very, very fortunate. We were very, very fortunate. Great support individually and as a unit from our chain of command through all of that. And support in partnership with the National Guard and the state emergency managers. So that was
that's
a great
let's pull that thread a little bit. Yeah. Most people, when they see that, they think it's just one entity and that you made all the decisions, not seeing all the closed door meetings that you had with everybody else in the area.
Yeah.
Like, you had to meet some new people during that experience.
Definitely. Well, and we were fortunate because that was my second year in command, so I was able to make a lot of relationships, build some trust.
Do you think that helped?
I do a lot, and I think a lot of people have this misperception about the military that when you're the senior leader, you just command everybody and they do what they tell you. When it's really not like that. I found the more senior you get, the more collaborative you have to be, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because you're dealing with teammates whose authority is on either side of yours, and you're trying to get everybody marching in the same direction towards the same common mission, and as are they. And so there was a lot of quick conversations with those that we'd established trust with. Hey, I really need to get this done. I need to get this done. Let's help each other. Off we go. There was some that had more friction that were either more strategic, risk averse or not than perhaps I was, and then there were others who, were just in a completely different lane, like the National Guard, the Coast Guard, the state, emergency management folks.
And you had to talk to all of them.
Yeah, and some were calling me, and others I was calling them, and But man, looking back, that was a great group of folks to work with. One of my favorite assignments.
Yeah, that definitely your poise during that crazy time definitely held everybody together. And after a few meetings, everyone was looking to you to slap the gator on the nose again.
Yeah, thankfully, no actual smacking of alligators during that one. One thing, I mean, a lot of lessons learned out of that too, but two lessons, one positive and one negative, I'll say. Very early we realized it's going to be a real challenge to communicate with all the military personnel and their families and all this while this is going on. Mm-hmm. And so you may not remember, we filmed a bunch of different videos, and in the midst of all that, we actually had a great deal of fun doing that. There's lots of ridiculous outtakes of what we were doing as we were trying to communicate that. And then we started to get some of the airmen and sailors involved that were staying behind, right? So people get to see them, know they're fine, know they're doing their mission. So that was a very positive lesson learned, a lot of fun. Kind of afterwards, we realized when you and some of your peers brought it up with us that while doing that and communicating out directly, we sometimes kind of shotgunned it out to the world without engaging that next level or two levels of leaders and giving them the opportunity to lead in the right way, which was great feedback and took some courage for you and your peers to bring up with senior leaders. But we were all better for it, I think, after kind of learning those lessons and living through it.
Well, there's not a playbook that you learn in ROTC for a hurricane.
No, there's not.
Where did you go to? You went to ROTC, right?
I did. I was ROTC. I went through Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Det 550. Shout out.
Hey-o. So how was that experience? Like, how did you get there?
In high school, I was an athlete, was interested in playing in college, but also trying to figure out how to pay for school like a lot of us, right? And so I was fortunate and ended up getting an ROTC scholarship. Rensselaer was a great engineering school, which is what my scholarship was in, and I had visited there and so thought, hey, this is a good match. So that's, in short, how I landed there.
When did you visit? Was it your junior, senior year?
My senior year.
Okay, yeah.
My senior
year.
You
You were looking at this like, this could be an option.
Yes. And I went there not in the dead of winter, so the experience in upstate New York was a little different than when I got to visit. But at the time and kind of early in my college career, ROTC was really a way for me to pay for college, right? And I recognized there was some payback on the end, but I wasn't thinking about it in terms of a career. And then somewhere during probably my sophomore year, the bug bit me, and I realized, hey, I'm doing okay at this. I'm pretty good at it. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Maybe there's something here for me, and finding a place. And sure enough, 20 some years later, still at it.
It's something else, isn't it? So when you were going through that process, and they said you could choose your job.
Yeah, it didn't quite work like that, but
how did that work how did the job selection work from ROTC in your
Yeah, you had to put in we called it a dream sheet. I think people still call them dream sheets, where you listed the specialty you were interested in 1 through X, the bases you were interested in going to 1 through X, and then somebody at the assignment team made matches and figured out where you landed, which is how I ended up at Tinker Air Force Base as my first duty station. So
yeah, that's probably a good location for you to be. I bet you your wife Nancy is probably
it worked out. I did not, growing up on the East Coast, college in upstate New York, I thought Oklahoma.
Yeah,
what is there?
It's in Oklahoma,
right? And it ended up personally being a great assignment. Got in with a great group of young officers and made great friends, lifelong friends, and learned about our profession together. I did not land in kind of the specialty area where I eventually found a home in that first assignment, but it was a great kind of path. So
I'm gonna pair some things together. So there's this podcast called One's Ready. They do special warfare for the Air Force. So it's all of the specialties, right?
Yeah.
The good friends of mine, we've done Swapcast before, and they kind of tell people how it works. for assessment, selection,
Yeah.
and actually the 19-year-old that I have at my house is getting ready to go in and do SEER, I believe is what he chose.
Okay.
But the things that they do is they kind of uncover what you just did. You know, this is how it worked for me. That's the way I think it still works. Were you able to influence anything from your senior position in how ROTC or officer selection or even cyber operations? Was that something you were able to?
Well, as a senior leader, as a part of what we call the developmental team that kind of manages the cyber career field, me and many others, senior leaders, talk about training opportunities for the different subspecialties in the career field. We talk about the career path, what that looks like to grow a senior leader from a lieutenant, and what are the experiences we want someone to have, which shifts over time, right? It looked different when I was a colonel than it looked when I was a lieutenant. And so, shifting mindsets and shifting requirements. And so I'd say yes, not as rapidly as you would hope sometimes in a large bureaucracy, but definitely large changes in the career field in just the time that I served. And those are accelerating and moving even faster now.
All right, so you think the old saying is it's steering the ship. So you turn the ship very slowly.
Yeah.
Do you think it's moving faster now because of technology or other communications platforms?
Well, we hope, right?
Yeah,
we hope.
we all do.
But it's federal government has always had a challenge with bringing in new technology, so that's a challenge. Large bureaucracy and adapting training quickly enough to bring in that new technology is another challenge, and then trying to think ahead to the outcome of that training. When you put an airman in the field, using the Air Force as the example, right? What does that operational unit really need out of that individual, and create that in time for them to be there, in time of need, and not putting out there, a year or 2 years after they started what was needed a year or 2 years ago. And so I won't claim we succeeded fully in that, but it's a constant challenge that needs constant attention.
Yeah, I see that. I see that going all the time. That's a constant problem.
I am glad they started thinking of it as talent management.
Yes.
And not necessarily just as career field management, where you're managing your talent and matching that against Air Force requirements.
What I was really impressed with my career was how they started taking personal notifications and assigning people to younger officers so that someone could explain the situation.
Yeah.
For the listeners, there are a lot of aspects to what we were doing. One of the big things that I wanted to do as an officer was exactly what I got to do as an expeditionary communications cyber operator is what they call it now.
Yeah.
They changed the name a lot.
They always do, yeah.
Because of that challenge we just talked about. But it's a cool guy job that no one knows about. It's like a little hidden secret. It's like, you can do that? Did you learn about all of the things? Well, I guess it was a 33 series when you came in. Did you learn about all the different shred outs, and did it change much?
Well, it changed a lot through the course of my career. I learned about it by asking questions. Believe it or not, talking about special warfare, when I was a lieutenant, I wanted to be a combat control officer. Which is a special operations specialist in the Air Force, but they had a eyesight requirement that I didn't meet. I wore contacts and glasses, and this is before the era of LASIK and PRK. I'm dating myself now, so that wasn't available to me. So I looked around, and being at Tinker Air Force Base at the time, the 3rd Combat Communications Group was here, which does combat communications, deployable kind of IT and cyber operations. And so I got to learn a little bit about that just by friends that served there. And I had a buddy who, I was a lieutenant. He was kind of a mid-grade senior captain. And he was like, you should really talk to this colonel. And so they introduced me to that colonel. And he told me about all the opportunities within the cyber communications career field. And I was like, well, if I can't do that, then I'd like to do this. And bloom where you're planted and someone will notice the rose. And a couple senior leaders helped me change career fields and get to training and get to another combat comm unit. And then off I went.
It's amazing. So Combat Comm still exists. If you're thinking about the Air Force, there's a quick plug for that. It is a great job to be in.
Expeditionary Communications, we call it now.
It's the mission is essentially learn as much as you want about being out by yourself and talking to people. There's a lot of aspects to that, from security to communications.
Yeah, you've got to go out in the middle of nowhere and be able to shoot, move, and communicate, but also have the technical skills to set up a satellite downlink, a computer network, telephone systems, command and control systems. So it's a blend of that technical skill set and kind of more traditional expeditionary kind of warrior skills.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite assignments.
Me too.
Definitely one of my favorite assignments.
Me too.
All right, so so you were here as a lieutenant. Were you anywhere else as a lieutenant?
No, I was here. I spent some time managing the electronic warfare system on the B-1 bomber platform here. Then I was an executive officer for a year, and some senior leaders helped me switch over after that.
So talk about the bomber. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, some. Yeah.
So what can you tell us?
I managed the jammer platform, electronic warfare platform. I was the engineer, and so worked with contractors who really were the technical experts. Managed the pipeline of threat information that went in and made sure they could jam, adversary radars and things like that. And it was really managing that process, making sure the support equipment that programmed the aircraft was available and upgraded, and kind of managing that pipeline. And so it was interesting work. But that career field doesn't necessarily deploy and do the things we talked about. Yeah. So I knew that while I was having fun and enjoying myself, that this wasn't the long-term career field fit for me.
But looking back, you got a good look at the way operationally everything folds together.
Yeah.
Having to be plugged into, a special SPO.
SPO, yep, System Program Office.
Yeah, and a special platform specific to, a bomber. That's...
I did, and so I tell people, someone told me, bloom where you're planted and someone will notice the rose, right? And even if you're not in the place you want to be, if someone notices you're doing great work, and this is a lesson far beyond the Air Force, if someone notices you're doing great work, they're going to want to help and support you. And when you get that opportunity to talk to a senior leader or talk to someone about what it is you do want to do, don't be shy about telling them. Right? Yeah. And they then helped me craft that message. That's the first time I heard the term elevator speech, right? I hadn't heard that term before. Yeah. And if viewers haven't heard that term,
good.
The way it was described to me was, okay, Captain, you're going to be in the Pentagon elevator, right? And just before the doors close, the chief of staff, a 4-star general, is going to walk in, and the doors are going to close, and he's going to say, hey, Captain, what do you want to do with your career? And you're going to have to tell him between the 2nd and 5th floors. That's an elevator speech. And you got to boil it down to the point where it's compelling. It's clear that you've thought through these things. And they helped me refine that when they sensed that I kind of knew what it was. And it served me well in the course of a career, because when those senior leaders found me, I had the opportunity to have conversations about what you want to do. And that doesn't mean you're immediately moved.
Nope.
But they know when that opportunity arises, that would happen. And so that same colonel I talked about meeting at Tinker here, who helped talk to me about combat communications. Fast forward multiple years, and he was deployed downrange during 9/11, and on, without exaggeration, the 12th of September, I got a phone call, and off I went.
Where were you? Okay, now we got to open that door. Where were you during 9/11?
I was stationed in Colorado Springs at Schriever Air Force Base, which is now Space Force Base. And we fly satellites from there, DoD satellites. And so managed the command and control network through which folks would control those satellites. And so that's where I was when 9/11 happened.
Okay. Before you said you were an exec officer. So executive officer is someone who's directly tied to the people making the most important decisions in the organization. So if you're looking at a corporate structure, it's the CEO and the board members. They have people that help them That's what the exec officer.
Yeah, kind of run, at least in this context, a little bit different in an Army context, but kind of run the front office, not really an empowered chief of staff, kind of one level, but maybe more than an administrative assistant, and kind of help them with the day-to-day and manage
grooming.
calendars.
It is grooming.
It's not exciting work, but if you have a great relationship with that boss, it really is. It gives you visibility into how a senior leader operates, which is a great training ground. Yes.
I loved my time as an exec in combat communications.
I had a great boss, and that's why I loved that experience myself.
It was so. Did that experience equate to you going to Colorado Springs? Did you choose Colorado Springs?
No, no. That exec experience, that colonel and the cyber colonel I talked about helped me transfer out of acquisitions into combat comm. Went to combat comm, went to another program, then landed at Schriever in space, and actually went kicking and screaming to space operations because I grew up in combat comm.
Yeah.
You're going to have me sit in the mountains and fly satellites? I thought this does not sound fun or exciting. But, as a young officer, you don't necessarily understand the full scope of the Air Force. And people were putting, not just me, but others in experiences that would grow you to be a senior leader later on. And so looking back, that was another great assignment with great leadership.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about what this nation can do.
So I'm gonna put a pin in that. Is what people say, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to 8-year-old you. I mean, could 8-year-old you fathom flying satellites in the Air Force?
No.
How was your childhood?
I would say normal. I grew up in Maryland, 2 younger brothers. I got all of the talent, good looks, and brains in the family.
They're going to listen to this,
Clearly,
right?
I do. So clearly there wasn't a lot of any of those things since I got them all. And so, normal childhood, running around outdoors a lot. My youngest brother was a little bit younger than us, but me and my middle brother, I was the oldest of 3, would run around in the fields where we lived. And one kind of normal kid story, I'll say, we had a dog, Lady, great dog, and we were out. We lived kind of rurally in the country. And there was a creek that ran near our house, and so we were out there. This was the era of Indiana Jones and those sorts of Star Wars, the original series, and that sort of stuff. And we were out there just having an adventure, having fun out there. The 2 of us, and the dog. And I remember there's a fence that runs right along the edge of the creek bed. And at this point, the creek bed, there was like a little cliff where the water had worn down. It was, maybe 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so, 8 or 10-year-old me and my brother are, hands on the fence. It was an electric fence, but not electrified at the time. Feet on the cliff, shimmying out across there like we were Indiana Jones. And the dog saw that and came sprinting from across the yard and smacked the fence so that it was, shaken and wildly knocked us off. We all, fall backwards into the, 2 feet of water that's at the bottom of there, come up sputtering, and the dog's just looking down at us. So just, funny stuff like that, the typical.
No one got hurt?
No one got hurt. Not permanently. And so just the typical, kids having adventures kind of life growing up.
So Maryland's changed a lot.
Yeah.
You've spent some time in Maryland.
Yeah.
When you go to Maryland now, is it something that you're like, oh, this feels like home? Or is it like, wow, this place has changed?
It's not. It hasn't been home for me for a long time. I left there to go to college.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're off at college, would come home for summers and holidays, and then from college off with the Air Force. So it's been a long, long time since it was home.
Yeah.
But my family still lives there. My brothers are back there. They both served and are back in Maryland now. And my parents still live in the same house that we grew up in. So it's not home, but it's comfortable, right? And it's a space that we all know. But yeah, the town we grew up in and all that has really changed a lot. It's grown a great deal.
That's something to go back and just, wow, what happened? But all right, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's go back into 9/11.
Oh, okay.
So you're here in Colorado Springs now.
Yeah.
You are in a new job, and this happens before the phone call that you got the next day.
Yeah.
What do you? Where were you? How did you hear about it?
I was in my office at Schriever Air Force Base in the morning when the first plane hit, and we didn't see it, but we heard about it. Now everyone's starting to turn on the news and TV, and there's lots of speculation. Was it a Cessna? Who's someone? Flying up the Hudson? What really happened? Didn't really know at that point. Watched the second plane hit, and we realized something's going on. And at that point, the base, went into lockdown, emergency procedures, that sort of thing. But I had just been stationed at the Pentagon. I left in May of 2001. This was September of 2001. So it really was a new assignment, new base for me. Still had friends at the Pentagon, so worried about them. Fortunately, they were all okay, but didn't know that until late that night, early the next morning.
Yeah.
And but had a job to do, so went through all the traditional emergency procedures to secure the base, make sure we were continuing to operate, and monitor intelligence and all those sorts of things. And it was a busy day. I didn't get home until midnight-ish, and far from alone. A lot of us had that experience that day, and then back the next day, and that's when I got the phone call, cryptically. So, what are you up to? And you know what that means.
Yes.
Anything you need me to be, sir. And then shortly thereafter, I deployed. So.
Nice. Special deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Put you in the environment. I noticed once I started seeing faces in those special jobs, I saw those faces in other special jobs, and it became a different family. So you moved to mafia bosses.
Well, yeah, and it, as a young officer, being in acquisitions, wanting to be a guy that deployed, always felt like the Air Force doesn't have enough warriors.
Yeah.
And then something like that happens. And you deploy, and you deploy again, and you deploy again, and you deploy again, and you see a lot of the same faces, and create lifelong relationships with these guys, and you start to realize maybe there's just about the right number.
Yeah. There are.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. I got a round robin.
Okay.
Just 3 questions for you. One, if you could go back and tell yourself in college one piece of information, what would it be?
Ooh. I think maybe just professional advice would be something along the lines of trust that you'll find your place. Because I struggled with that. Through college, in terms of where professionally I was going to be. As you know, the Air Force is very tribal. I knew I wanted to be a military officer. Yep. And then I struggled as a lieutenant, recognizing that acquisitions wasn't the right place, but I really loved this military lifestyle and wanted to find my place. And so kind of agonized over that more than I probably needed to, looking back. And so I think just trust you'll find your place.
Okay. Best quote you've heard during your career and why? I know, right? These are some bangers.
That's a hard one. Because growing up, I used to keep what I called boss quotes.
Nice.
And I would write them down. And my rule was, and it was, funny, inspirational, stupid things that I heard my boss or bosses say. And my rule was I had to hear it with my own ears for it to go in the book. And I stopped doing that when I started to realize that I was senior enough that people were writing down what I was saying. So enough was enough. Let me think on that for a minute.
And when I ask that question, I'm asking like in your 30s, like.
Mm-hmm. I think the one that was the one I remember from that phase of my life wasn't so much a professional story or a professional quote of a boss saying something. Lots of those, but the one that I remember from that phase of my life is more of a personal one, because at least for my generation of officer, we were kind of mid-grade captains, middle, senior in the junior ranks of officers, if you will.
Yeah.
And the doers that had to deploy and go down range and do hard things well. And so I spent the better part of 5 years overseas after that, and kind of knew this is what's coming. And I was dating a young lady at the time who has come to be a big part of life at this stage too. And you know, we were dating long distance and challenges of doing that. And she said I had to deploy quickly. And she'd been through it before with me, but it was like, okay, no Dear Rob letters while you're gone. It's like, okay, go focus on that. We'll figure this out when the time comes. And it worked out in both sides of that, professionally and personally. So
That's got to be a huge relief.
it definitely took a load off. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if you knew this, but during my last deployment, I got divorced. And you know, it's Jody is what they call it in the military. Jody.
Yep.
Jody. Some other dude's giving your
Yes.
Your woman attention, and you're always worried about Jody. But you know, if you got a good one, and she's like, you know, it's not going to happen. You can focus on that's powerful.
It really was. And I didn't at the time. You know, you're not smart enough to realize how powerful it was. And in the moment, you know, you've got enough to worry about that. Okay, that's just one thing, and now I feel like I've still got 30 things.
Yeah.
But it's one pretty big thing, and so it worked out.
Now, when you were deployed, did you stand in line to use the telephone, or like? I'm asking because people don't know anything about that. But like when we used to roll out, there was like 3 phones that you could use to call back home.
Yeah.
And you had to know people's phone numbers. It was a different time, I know.
It was a different time, yes. Well, I grew up in the lessons I learned as a young officer were, as the leader, you're the first guy to get up and the last guy to go to sleep. And you're the first guy to pick up your ruck and you're the last guy to put it down. And so, you know, when we deployed out to a bare bones location, set up communications, if we were going to make phone calls home, I was going to be the last guy.
Yeah.
And so, my now wife got very frustrated with me at times. She was like, "Aren't you the communications guy? Don't you put the phones together? Can't you just call?" And and so, you know, she learned that lesson with me the hard way, and understands now. But I did.
All right. That's thank you for that. I have one last one. And
Okay.
It's a pretty good one. So recently, ChatGPT 5.0 came out. Have you used it?
Not 5.0, but I've used ChatGPT. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you had conversations with ChatGPT at all?
I don't know if I've categorized them as conversations,
Right.
But like running questions.
Yeah.
Here's a question, and it tells me something that I know is not quite right, so I ask an additional question. Oh, you mean this? So I've had kind of running, narrowing down. I've used it more like a search engine. So narrowing the search, I would say yes.
I like ChatGPT for a search engine because there's no ads involved, so you know you're going to get pretty raw data.
Yeah.
But 5.0 has changed a lot. It like has personality now.
Okay.
I find myself saying please, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, you got me, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But I mean, how are you using AI?
Well, personally, like a search engine, right? Which is pretty simplistic, I recognize. But I would say looking for, in that, going back to kind of my advisory roles and recognizing, you know, the military experiences that I've had, looking for ways to apply AI and machine learning to those mission sets to make decision cycles faster and more accurate and data-driven, to automate workflows that take people a long time, but machines can do, right? And so I think looking for ways to bring that in, and what I've just described is relatively simplistic early use AI use cases, right? And I'm really fascinated by some, AI to autonomously fly drones, not just an individual drone, but how about AI to fly a drone swarm that operates together, right? Or things like that. And so it's fun being a technology guy and trying to apply that technology to military experiences and missions. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool time to be doing all this.
It is. It's another revolution. I know you're fully involved in a whole lot of the advising for people that are using all these new technologies, and now AI has just become a part of life for a whole host of people.
How's a podcaster use AI?
A lot of different ways. So when I speak to celebrities, I have AI act as my media representative, and it it tells me who to contact. It tells me where to send it, and then it says this is the response you'll probably get is one of these things.
Yeah.
This is the first ring, and then do you want me to remind you in 5 days to follow up?
Yeah.
So it acts as a personal assistant of sorts, a media manager of sorts. A lot of people use it for tiles. I don't use it for like the little show tile.
Yep.
I don't do that. And then summarizes. Like everything that we say on this show is part of ChatGPT 6.0 probably.
Yeah.
Because it's pulling all that data in.
Yeah.
So it's doing all that automatically, and it's just amazing for a lot of things. But no, I have 9 roles. 5 of them are filled by AI. And then I have a really good team. So that makes, they also work with AI. But a search engine is the number one answer. So if we were playing Jeopardy,
I wonder if we asked younger folks who grew up with the internet as opposed to folks like us, how they're using it and what they'd say. So
and that's where I'm going with this. You're always doing that to me, by the way. Is before we talked about mentors, and the assumption is that the mentor is somebody that's ahead of you in years. And we've worked in a world where our mentors were not necessarily older than us. Sometimes they were just more experienced in whatever it is that we were trying to figure out at the time.
Yeah, great point.
Do you have any stories that you'd like to talk?
Sure. So I, as a senior officer, I hired a junior officer to be an exec and purposefully picked somebody really sharp so that I could pick his brain, not just kind of open his view of what senior leaders did and mentor in that way and kind of take care of the running of the front office, if you will. But I wanted somebody that I could ask, hey, how are the captains doing this, right? Because I remember how we did it.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, this mission didn't exist when I was a captain, so how's this happening? And someone that I could have that conversation with and a little bit of rapport. I looked for that. Yeah. And I did that in kind of multiple roles where I tried to look for somebody that not only was sharp and could have that conversation, but I had some rapport with that, we could help each other.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I got a lot of pulls from you. I remember telling you my opinion once, and you said, "That's your opinion," and I go, "Well, that's actually a smart way to say that because I am wrong."
And then I don't remember that. Were you? You might not have been.
No. And the other one is, if you're the smartest person in a room, maybe you should look around again and find another room to be in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I just want to thank you for those quotes. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience?
No, I think thanks for having me on. This has been fun.
Yeah.
A little bit of reminiscing, and would love to do it again sometime. And hopefully, what we talked about is helpful for somebody.
Yeah, it's always cool getting people that you've done life with for years in the studio and a mentor. So thank you for being a good mentor. Okay. You've helped me out a lot of times and told me get back in the game, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to give you our pirate patch. This is Redbeard's flag. It has a red beard, like this guy now. I gave this to Mike Tyson when I met him in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, tell me about this." So I'm going to tell you about it.
Okay, do.
It follows suit with the premise is people. The targeting of hearts is something that we do as leaders. The hearts and minds is not just a saying; it's a way of life. And the mind always spits out 3 things. And the way people make decisions should be influenced by the people around you. the time that we have, and then the resources that are available. So all of that folds into that. But I only give that patch to celebrities and people that I know have hearts in their mind. So I want to say thank you to you.
Thanks.
I hope you display it somewhere.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
That's
awesome.
That's not a bathroom.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I know you won't. We used to make fun of crummy patches. And be like, I got a perfect place for this.
So funny story about displaying stuff in bathrooms. And this probably won't make the cut, but I'll talk about it. So I learned when I was at Command and General Staff College, I had a good friend who was the British officer. And I guess the tradition in the British military is that's where they put up all of their, in their guest bathroom, whatever the bathroom the guests are going to use, that's where they put up all of their military paraphernalia, I love me walls, pictures, all that. Because, everybody's going to see it in there, but it doesn't clutter up whatever decor, you and your spouse have put up around the house. And so we used to laugh about that. And now I find in our home here, I don't get to put up any of my military stuff, even in the bathroom as much. So I'll find a place for this.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, General. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And for you guys, thanks for tuning in. We are a top 10% podcast because you like and share this. So about 10% of the population that's watching this actually shares it. If you could do that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're spending thousands of dollars a week to make sure that you get stories just like this. And all it takes is a nice little like and share. And it's free for you. So we hope that you enjoy. And until next time, stay on target.
Thanks again.
That's it, man.
Yeah, good times.
Stay with us as we stay on target with another awesome episode coming up next. We'll see you there. And subscribe to Targeted Now. As an ambassador to buckedup.com, I get to give you our special discount. That's Atlas25 when you go to buckedup.com to get that special discount. Only for our listeners, Atlas25. Go to buckedup.com now.
This is Atlas Altman. I am sitting here with my computer doing the final edits. My dog's just chilling out, and I'm looking for a fight scrub commercial. And instead of just finding one, I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on it because, hey, it's late, and why not listen to me since it's my show? This is something I found through a gym that I go to, and the guy who owns it, the guy who was on my show, is he's an amazing guy, and he tells a story on the show. But where this is a natural product. It is a clean product, not chemicals, and it helps you with anything that you do that you need to sanitize. So for me in MMA, when I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I can do into my really old age, when I'm broken, I can do Jiu-Jitsu, and I'll keep doing it. I get really sweaty, and then I don't want to smell like other dudes when I come home, and see the family and see my dog and all that. So I spray this stuff on me. I get in the car. My car doesn't smell bad, but then I feel cleaner. I'm not going to get any skin infections. It's an amazing product. It has different flavors of flavors. It's got different smells, but you can put it on your skin. You can spray it all over your clothes. You can spray it all over your gis. You can throw it in your gym bags. It's awesome. But if you play football and you have pads, it's awesome for that. Muay Thai, whenever I do Muay Thai or boxing, I take my boxing gloves off, I spray the crap out of it. It's a good thing to have. If you're using Clorox or whatever, this is a great alternative. I've been using it for a while. Highly recommend it. There's a link in my bio if you want a discount. Please use my link. I do this for people so that they can get the products that I use. This is one of them. Check it out. Fight Scrub. Check it out.